Hey everybody, welcome to a new segment of Real Talk. This is a new show on the channel where I basically interview people worth interviewing. Real Talk. But to start the show, I thought we could do a profile of the members on this channel, so you can know them on a more intimate and sexual level. Today, my guest is someone who has been there on a regular basis. Kendrick Wilkins. How are you doing, buddy?
Yo, I am excellent. How are you?
I'm
I don't care anymore.
exhausted. Real talk.
I understand. Real talk, you're exhausted? Yeah, we're college students, so I imagine.
Yeah, it's only gonna get worse.
Yeah,
Responsibilities.
yeah.
So tell me about yourself, Ken.
Well,
Tell the people about yourself.
I'll start them off. I'm super homo. Kidding, not really. Um, I have siblings. I have three sisters and a mom and a dad. I'm 18 years old. I just turned like 3-4 months ago, so that's exciting. I'm legally old enough to buy cigarettes. Don't do it.
He condones it.
I knew you were gonna say this.
But do you have a face?
No, I don't. I'm actually bald on the face. It's just perfect shine.
It's like looking on the top of a bald guy's head. There's always a shine.
After it's been waxed. Oh my god.
Ken waxes his.
My bald face. I wax it.
Yeah.
But that's just my life. I grab the towel and I like scrub it real clean. I look myself in the mirror with my non-existent eyes and I'm like, well, that'll do for today, and I fall into a wall or whatever.
You gotta walk around with like a cane, just kind of swiping around.
My sister's like, ow, Kendrick, quit hitting me, and I keep hitting her harder.
It's not even a cane, it's like a My Little Pony baton.
That's
you
like,
don't know because you don't have eyes.
I don't have eyes or a mouth or a nose for anything. Actually, I'm dying right now. So
So do you work any jobs, anything like that?
I do. I at one point was working 2 jobs and almost 3, and like a week, but now it's been down to 2 or 1.5. I work with my mom at Liberty Tax Service. I call and do callbacks and stuff like that. I go and market where I go to businesses, hand them coupons, let them give me business cards to expand our business and whatnot. I work with kids. I get paid $50 a week to do that, and I worked at GameStop for a little while. So that was cool. Discounts on
That
games.
whole marketing thing sounds like
And I wait, but yeah,
you
what
call it marketing, but it just sounds so bad. You're
it
basically soliciting.
soliciting is selling items. I'm not selling anything.
You're selling your soul.
Yeah.
But no, you go business to business, saying,
Mhm.
"Hey, dog, you want some? What is it? Insurance?
Or like it's
Tax services?
tax services.
Yo, dog,
Once
let me hook you up with some tax services." And they're just like, and you got to deal with that.
like it's honestly not all that bad. Like when I first started off, I was like, oh my god, I gotta talk to people, and they're gonna look me in the eye and give me the stank eye and be like, what this hoe doing here? But like after because the first few people I went to, they were like, okay, yeah, we'll take them, and they were real cool about it, and I wasn't even mad. I was like, oh, okay, this isn't bad. Like I had people, like, really it was only like 2-3 people that turned me down. But one lady was just like, she didn't let me finish my sentence. She didn't even shake my hand. She like kicked me out, and she was BSing the entire time. And I was kind of like, okay, fine. If you don't have any customers go your way, then I just told them that you're a bad business owner, and no one should ever come to your store. So when your company asks you, hey, why aren't we making money in this area? You're the reason why. So deal with it. And then I had people that showed up and they're like, whoa, I love when your people come by. Come on in. And they were all real nice. And like, yeah, da 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 da. And I was like, oh, thanks, dog.
So for a second, it almost sounded like you were blackmailing the lady. Like, be ashamed if you didn't.
Oh, I didn't tell her. I was like, you know what?
Be ashamed if you didn't take me up on these. tax services.
Like, yeah, that's how it is. Because like when people get their tax return money, they want to spend it at places, and so that's why I go to businesses and like give them coupons and stuff. So people be like, oh, let me go get my taxes and then get tax return money. Then I want to go spend it at this place. That's why I get their business cards too, and we leave them at our place. And then like people are like, oh, this business looks nifty. Let's go there and do
Spend
stuff.
stuff.
Spend money. I don't know.
For things.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what I do.
So let's get this ball rolling. How we met?
Well,
Do you remember how we met?
I do. I was just sitting at my table in lunch, my sophomore year, chilling like a baller. Then this faggot showed up. But no, real talk. How it went was, it was me, Dylan, Mason, and a few of our friends at the time, Donald too. We were all just kind of chilling at this table, right? And then this like black-haired kid, he was like, "Yo, can I sit here?" And we were like, "Sure, why not? We don't care." And we got to talking, and he was like, "Yo, we should totes make YouTube videos." And I'm like, my nigga, of course.
We should totally do that, but that didn't come till later.
Yeah, it didn't come till later,
That
but
definitely escalated things, but that wasn't.
the reason, like, he just kind of sat there, and he was just kind of twiddling his thumbs, and me and Dylan went on with our dumb conversations, and he eventually, we just started talking to him, and
He's like, by the way, there's that kid right there. We should probably say something.
we're like, "Oh, hey, new kid, what's shaking, bacon?" And he's like,
Nutella sandwich. Does anybody want it? And Kendrick immediately flips tables.
I did. I was like, "Give me that! Give me that!"
shit.
Dude,
That's the thing I usually did. I brought a Nutella sandwich, maybe ate 2 bites, and then gave the rest to Ken.
Like, give me that shit. And I like devoured it, and like you saw Nutella fly everywhere, and it was all smeared across my face, and it was like,
Looked like a weird, dirty Sanchez.
yeah, that's just how it was. But yeah. So that was the thing we did and all that stuff, and then like after a while, about like a week or two of just sitting at our table and getting to know each other a little better and whatnot, he was like, "Hey, you guys seem cool, and I actually want to get this done. The people that I've tried with before, they didn't actually get stuff done, but I know you guys will. So want to make YouTube videos?" And we were like, "Yeah, let's do it."
So I can't remember specifically what I proposed. It was, I had an idea. Not this channel. This channel wouldn't come for another year, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
The idea was to make original skits, but all of them horror themed. So it would be like a mini horror story, all original. And so
We were on that boat.
yeah,
The hype train was real. We were all about to do it. And so we decided, when should we do it? And we did it on Fridays. And we were like, all right, cool, let's do it. But when we started to do it, it rained every Friday for like 3 weeks. And we couldn't get it 3 weeks. 3 weeks, and we couldn't get anything done. And at this point, I was just like, yo, Mother Nature, why you treating me so wrong?
Why have you forsaken me?
Mother Nature's like, I know what you be doing, Kendrick. I'm like, I don't do anything.
You be doing Satan's work down there.
I
know what you're doing.
I don't.
I don't even know what I'm doing.
Exactly.
But,
I'm just here hanging with a tan guy and a white black people and a white person.
That's the problem, Kendrick. But that, with that said, introductions have been made. What was your first impression?
Well, when I first saw you, real talk, I was like, oh, this guy must be a narcissistic prick.
I'm being completely serious. Aside from all jokes we've ever made, brutally honest.
Dog, like when I looked at you, I was like, oh, this guy looks cool, but he looks like a douchebag, like a legit douchebag.
What did I wear the first day? Okay.
The first day you wore your jacket and you had like your fingerless gloves and I think you had just like a black shirt, maybe a tie. Like, no,
I wasn't,
you,
because
you
we didn't
wasn't.
start that yet.
No, you were wearing your that Nirvana shirt. You were wearing your Nirvana shirt,
It was actually Asking Alexandria.
or that maybe I was thinking of a different day, something like
I
that.
remember exactly because I bought that shirt right before school, and I was like, alright, the way to make friends is to wear band shirts, which is true to some extent. But my first impression of you,
Okay.
you were intimidating as hell. You and Dylan. Because you're big, Dylan's tall, you're just buff.
All right.
And so, I mean, I don't know. Like, it was a bit hard to talk. It was hard to talk enough. Like, the reason I had sat at that table originally was to talk to this girl named Mason.
Mm-hmm.
And she dressed in all
All
black.
black.
Her hair was black makeup. But not
Uh,
like, I don't want people to think that it was like full on goth or anything. It wasn't anything like that.
She was pretty edgy, but not that edgy.
Yeah,
Not that sharp.
not that sharp. But she was also a little bit intimidating. Though, to be fair, you all caught me off guard. Like, just as soon as I sat down, everybody was like, oh, hey, what's up? I was like, alright, am I getting punked? Is this happening?
Is
I
this
think
high school?
Are we what we would call friends? What is life?
What is life? Every high school movie lied to me. Actually, no, this is how high school movies do go, to be honest. Because I remember Kevin telling me later on that he sat with a group that we all strongly dislike now.
Yeah, I tried to fit in with the scene kids. That didn't work out so well.
So he got kicked to the curb, and no one wanted to sit with him. So he sat with us, the kids that don't sit with anybody. But you know, hey, we're here.
Now that I remember correctly, it was that the cafeteria was full at the time, and all the seats were just taken, and that, like, some people offered to, like, they were like, hey, do you want this seat? I was like, sure. So I sat down, and they were just boring as shit. Like, there was nothing I could relate to. There was nothing like, hey, what do you think about this? Nothing like that. I was just a bystander, so I was like, you know what?
Squash
I
this
need to
one.
flake. Yeah, I need to flake off. Flake out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But yeah, after that, it all just kind of evolved from there into like
The goofy friendship we have now.
yeah, through specifically, I want to touch on Derp Fridays. Like we
Oh,
touched on
dog,
it on the podcast, but this is where it really happened.
like, so Derb Fridays was born out of the failure of Cobweb Productions, which was the horror films that we were gonna do. And it was gonna probably be really really legit if we actually got to set it off, but we didn't. So I came up with the name. Let's call it Derb Fridays, and yeah, we now just hung out. We didn't even record YouTube videos anymore. And like probably the day that made it Derp Friday before it was even called that was the day we thought it wasn't gonna rain, right? And it was like the fourth week, and it didn't rain. It didn't legitimately rain when we left out, but it started pouring, and so we said, "Forget it." So done. So we went. We there was Woods Bakery, which is a local bakery near us, and we got some donuts. And Kevin didn't play in the rain, but me, Tim, Dylan, Mason, and Lexi all just played in the rain. Kevin didn't want to get wet, freaking pansy. But
In my defense, you guys got me wet anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
yeah, we know. We were terrible, but
But it's beautiful moments like that that really got us closer together. It was, while I was being a pansy out on the sideline, it was very. It's an image that I'll carry till the grave.
It was very surreal because, you know, to be honest, I never would have expected like anything like that to happen. Like, I gotta stop saying like. It was just, like I said, surreal, and it was crazy, and my mind was blown when I thought about it, you know. later on, as I gotten older, because when I first met Kevin, I was 14 years old. I was a sophomore, and I was 14, and it was insanity to me. Like, I never thought I would ever have this opportunity in high school, actually in life in general. And I think because of Kevin, I've experienced new things that I probably wouldn't have touched on ever. You know, he actually, in ways, indirectly in some cases, have expanded my social circles, have expanded my ideas of like things and how I he basically gave me a paradigm shift on how I look at life, you know, because he was Kevin is very opinionated, you know, and his words he's got like proof to back up why his opinions are strong, and I respect him for that very much, you know, and we all have our different opinions, but you know, he was one of the besides Tim, but Tim Tim was on a different level of like open-minded real talk. Kevin was the first person that I besides someone else really long back, one of my old friends, but he was like the person that I met through high school that really got me thinking, and we had real talks like late night Skypes and all that stuff, and just like hanging out and text like way back in high school we did a Dirt Friday, but it was just me and Kevin, and I think we were just waiting on somebody. Or waiting on a few people to get out or go do something, and we went to the toolbox, the McDonald's or whatever, and we just sat down and had a real conversation, and I was just like, whoa, this dog got ideas. He's not some person that's just like, hey guys, let's just go and do stupid stuff. So yeah, that was one of my experiences with him, so it was cool.
I'm just over here stroking my dick. But no, like as you're talking, like the idea popped into my head that it's your best friends seem to come about when you experience life with them outside of school.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had plenty of friends in high school, but it's the ones where after school we'd hang out and go experience life outside the walls that, you know,
Yeah.
you get that closer connection, which is why me and Ken took off.
Yeah, I guess
off.
it was because like when we were when we were all together, you know, it would usually split into two groups. It would either be, because there was five of us, it'd either be Tim, Kevin, and James, or Kendrick, Dylan, and James, and we all just kind of split off and have our own separate conversations about things. But where we really took off, it was when the Skype calls, and like not everyone could make it, but it was just me and Kevin, and we, you know, would just talk about really anything.
And that still happens.
It still happens, yeah. That's just
we were just having a conversation about Ken's love life before this whole thing started.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, if she watches this now, she knows.
She knows anyway, but so we're not talking about that. But like, you know, we're practically brothers, test tube babies at this point, and we
call ourselves test tube babies. Instead of saying brother from another mother, we have established that we were born in a laboratory in the same test tube, because I don't know, like over the years we find that we are more alike than we'd ever thought we were. I guess that's because like in the beginning there's all this pride, and I don't know any other word besides pride, but there's that pride there where you just
don't want to open yourself up to, like, you don't want to open up certain things to people, even your best friends at the time. And
there's that, but you want to look like the dominant one, even though it's not like a physical dominance. You just want to come out on top somehow. Like, I just feel like that's male nature.
Definitely is. I wouldn't say that's male nature. I would say that's just human nature.
Possibly.
You know?
I don't know. That's
not
something I've thought about in depth, but that's definitely something that was present in our relationship.
And after a while, we just started breaking those walls down.
Yeah,
Like,
it took time. Like what
I,
me and Kendrick have, it took years to make.
it's not just, it happened overnight. This is beauty in the making. But
Though if he had launched that one kid into that locker sooner, it would have been overnight.
but we're not talking about that. But I think what like really broke the walls down the most was it had to do with the similar situation, but because of Kevin's love life, you know, I
Which
take
came after the fact.
yeah after the fact. But
That just cemented. Let me tell you something about Kendrick. Alright. Kendrick is the most selfless person I know. In many occasions. So, this one time, we had both developed feelings for this one girl. She was fun to talk to. She was just an all-around cool person. And so I can remember the time when or at least I realized that he liked her. We were in the toolbox, McDonald's, and we were talking about her, and then he said something like, "Yeah, but a good thing she's mine though." And I just kind of looked over like, "Wait, what?" And you're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Wait, are you guys dating?" And he's like, "No, but she will be." And I was like, I just nodded, patted his back, and went back to the table. And I told Tim about this because I think I had told Tim before.
mm,
And so,
and at that time, I was like, I didn't know. Like, to be honest, at that point, I was kind of just like,
yeah,
yeah,
you didn't hear from me.
yeah, I didn't hear from you, but I had a slight idea. I wasn't sure, but I was kind of like in that point where I was like, oh yeah, I kind of like her. I want to date her, but I was just joking around with Kevin because that's just how I do. I'm at that point in time, I was real arrogant, and my jokes were like, I'm better than you jokes. But go on, Kevin.
So, to continue on this story, I can remember sitting in journalism. That was one of my favorite classes. Kendrick, he had texted me saying he wants to. Crap! I just gave her name. Her name's.
Oh well, there we go. Now you ruined it. You couldn't just keep it under wraps, Kevin. You couldn't
No,
just do it.
when I go back to edit it, I'll put a bleep.
Okay, go ahead.
Comedic effect.
You do make it a duck sound.
There we go. That's perfect.
All right.
Even if she does watch it, she'll know by this story.
Mm-hmm.
So, he texts me saying she wants to tell me something. And so, immediately my heart begins to race because I'm thinking, wait a minute, but I know Ken has feelings for her. I don't know what to do. And so that was one of the longest journalism classes I'd ever spent, like just thinking what to do.
And I'm bad about this, but I text the way I talk. A lot of times
I hate it.
I've been leaning more and more away from it because I'm more of a talker than I am a texter for a long time. Like I text a lot now, but it's only because everyone else around me texts. If they call me, I'm gonna be like, all right, cool, what's up? I can do this so much easier. But I would leave spaces, like I would send separate texts to initiate
He
separate.
does not get to the point.
Yeah, that too.
That's
Like
the problem with everybody that texts nowadays. They don't get to the damn point.
I when I'm texting Kevin, I kind of just like, Kevin, this is what's up, the blah 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 blah, and he'd be like, all right, thanks, dog. I'm like, yeah, sure. But I remember him. He was texting me, and he was like, dog, what is it? I'm like, nope, you gotta wait till your class is over.
Which sucked because it was literally the beginning of class.
Uh-huh.
He had to make me wait, but
A whole 55 minutes.
class was over, and I see him running down with her hand, like he's holding her hand, dragging her through the hallways, and I immediately think, wait, they could possibly be dating. In which case,
I'm upset now.
well, no, first of all, I'm happy for you, but at the same time, it's like, oh, okay.
Show
Anyway, back to the drawing board. But they show up, and her face is buried in her hands, and he's just like, I think he just came out right out with it and said, hey, she has something to tell you, and then she's like, will you go out with me? And that's how that all started. But the whole time I couldn't help but think, like, it didn't feel right because I knew Ken had feelings for her. But that's just the kind of guy he is. He wants his friends to be happy. He's done that on many occasions. And that's one of the things I've come to respect about him. What would Jesus do? I'm sorry, what would Kendrick do? Probably make a joke about spaghetti and then
9/11 right after it. Yeah, there's that one time I did mess up with Kevin where it was one of after our Dirt Fridays, and it was in fall, so it got dark real soon, and it was like 6 o'clock, and it was me and Dylan and Kevin and Tim, and we were just all like, oh, dog, da da da, we got places to be, and like, okay, I was telling Kevin, me and Dylan were leaving, we're like, all right, we're leaving now, I'll see you later, and he's like, wait, Kendrick, or he was, how did the conversation start? It was like,
it was really cold, it was getting dark out, and you had to go home.
Yeah, and then you said, I'm trying to remember how you said it. I was like,
you said, hey, do you want me and James?
oh yeah, that's right. Do you want me to stay? Like, do you want me to stay with you, dog? And you're like, nah, it's cool. And that was his hint to reverse psychology. He's like, nah, for real, stay. And I was like, okay, and I left.
And it was that abrupt. Okay, and left.
But that was probably my worst moment with Kevin. So.
I wasn't even that mad, but to go back to the other story, Ken dodged a bullet.
I did. And when I found out that I did, I felt horrible. Like, I wasn't like, oh my God, thank the Lord Jesus that I dodged that. I was like, oh my God, Kevin, I'm so sorry. If I knew, I just would have took the blow for you. Like, I would have dated her or no one would have dated her. At first I said I would have dated her just for you to dodge this. And if I could take it all back, I could. Like, I told him this for like 3 weeks, and he was like, Ken, it's okay. I got you.
But the whole narrative of Kendrick is a very selfless person doesn't even end there. So during this whole drama that went on between me and this one chick, he purposely put himself in a spot to be in mental pain, in emotional pain, because he had to deal with the stress too. I said jokingly, like, oh, you got us into this, you gotta get us out of this, but I think she was being serious.
No, she was serious AF. I was like, oh my God, what have I done? But yeah, because I felt really, really bad, and I didn't want to be that guy that just like, all right, now that's your problem, go deal with it, because I hated when people did that to me, and
I wouldn't have been completely mad at you, because it was my problem, but you stuck it out. Like, there was even times in the relationship where you still stuck up for me like that, and you didn't have to. Her ex-boyfriend is the worst person on this earth. If Satan's walking this earth, he's still worse than that. He's scum. He's scum. And you were saying?
I was just like, even at a point, like, it's just, I didn't want Kevin to go through this alone, because I was like, dog, I wouldn't want anybody to leave me alone, but if they did, I'll just have to power through it. But I had to help Kevin. Like, I even had a panic attack at one point because I was helping him, and it was just so nerve-wracking, but I stuck it out, and I just had to do it and help him out. And it's what friends do, you know? It's what really good friends do. I wouldn't have done it for any other reason, just because Kevin is, you know, one of my really good friends. My test tube brother over there, so.
Test tube baby. But, I don't think I would have stuck it out in that relationship as long as I did, had I not had Ken to back me up. I think I would have just gave up and been like, nope, not dealing with it. Ken gave me some sense of security, because he wasn't only there emotionally, but he was literally there physically whenever this kid just showed up to just be a jerk.
I was like, hey,
like a wall.
Hey, who you think you messing with here? Your friend. You gotta get to me first.
He almost got into a fight with him at homecoming. I clearly remember this. Somebody pushed somebody else, and that just caused like a flood of people to just be like, nope, we're not doing this here, back up.
But
it was quite the experience, but it really showed Ken's character.
Like our favorite part about it was like Kaylee was emotionally distressed, and we were like, all right, whatever. And Kevin was trying to be like, yo, come here, I'll protect you. And the Parasite was like, hey, blah 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 blah. And I stepped in. I was like, yo, dog, what? who you stepping up to? And his friend was there, but he wasn't trying to stop me from getting there. He was pushing the Parasite away because he was like, dog, you don't want to mess with this thing. You are an ant to this lion. You need to chill. Like, his face was like he was going to die if he tried to step up to this dude. So
it's things like that. It made that relationship worth it. It's the little things, but we should move on.
All right.
The channel. The One Unpleasant Podcast turned One Unpleasant Channel.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember how you got involved?
I do, actually. So I wanted to be involved at first, but I at the time had my own channel, and I was like, and Kevin was like, yeah, we already have enough members. I was like, that's cool, I don't mind just being a guest or anything like that, or not being a part of it at all. That's your stuff. Go ahead. I'm gonna work on my stuff because I got priorities. But he was like, yeah, but I'm gonna have you as a guest. Don't worry. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. I'm fine with that. So around the third or fourth podcast, it was the third one, right?
Yeah, you're in the right neck of the woods, I think.
Yeah, around that range. I appeared as a guest on the channel, and I had the worst laugh of all time. Still there, but not all there. But I showed up as a guest, and I was just like, all right, cool. And a few episodes later, I showed up as a guest again. And I was just cool with that. But Kevin was struggling with the channel because at the time, nobody was showing up, and everybody was either getting busy or something was happening in their lives that they just couldn't control. And at that time, I was the only one free. And so Kevin was like, Kendrick, you want to help me out make this podcast or whatever we had to do? And I was like, yeah, sure. I'm down the clown. Let's do it. And at that point, I just immediately, on a podcast, actually, I just became a member.
Yeah, it wasn't until the next one, but it was because we had such great chemistry the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually really hard to get these things rolling. Like, it is a conversation, but you need to make sure it keeps going. And with Ken, it just came naturally.
So I became a member, and from then on forth, there was only like one podcast. Actually, not even that. Really, the only podcast that I wasn't a part of was like some gameplays that Kevin was like, hey, Kendrick, you don't have to be here for this one, or something like that. But there was only one podcast where I almost missed the entire thing, but I called them in the middle of it, and that's probably one of my favorites, because I go back and watch it, and they'll be having this whole, because I wasn't there for the first half of it, so I'm listening to these stories and stuff, and I just hear Kevin, he's like, hello? Like, he'd stopped everything, and he's like, oh, we're doing it right now. And then, like, 10 minutes later in the podcast, I'm like, hey, guys, I'm here! That's probably one of my favorite podcasts because of that.
It was funny. I debated either cutting it out or not, but I was like, nah, this is gold.
Like, how often do you get someone calling through the middle of the podcast and you answer it? It's just...
My only regret is that you couldn't hear your voice through the other end.
Yeah.
You could hear your faint voice like, hey, what's up? What's going on?
I wanted to, but it was fine. I remember the conversation like it was yesterday anyway. But, yeah. And I was, at first, I was the editor, at the same time as just a member. But,
he did the original
newscast.
Yeah, all of those. So any complaints, you can blame him for it.
Yeah, so you can blame me for all the newscasts up to the O'Fallon Rebels. Actually, I did the O'Fallon Rebels as well. The only newscast I didn't edit was the latest one.
Yeah.
That was about it. And then,
You
yeah.
you were there for the first major transformation of the channel.
Mm.
Um, Gameplays, the introduction of gameplays.
Yeah, that was like, I was gonna do a gameplay where it was gonna be just a collaboration of my channel and his,
Yeah,
but
that was the original idea.
they're on my channel now, but they didn't just stick with it. So from then on, I just gameplays were just, you know, on that channel. If it appears on that channel, it's for that channel, nothing else. Um, because my channel, I'm gonna go off the tangent a little bit. But my channel, I put more work and dedication to making the videos because I make them a certain specific format. Like mine is more walkthrough heavy. Like I'm talking about how to do certain things and all this stuff, and I have to edit it, and I have to go back and make cuts, and then I have to put these like texts and all this information and reading. And our channels were just like, hey, let's just say stupid stuff and jerk around for like 80 for not 80 minutes for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's an entertainment channel.
Yeah, we're just doing what we do best, entertain people. So that was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, on that note, in the future, you're gonna see a lot more of Ken in these gameplays. He's gonna
Yeah,
take the reins a little bit.
I have a few gameplays ready. I might just redo them because they might be a little old, or the content I put in them I didn't like all that much. But some of them are gold, and we're gonna upload them soon. I'm waiting for that key moment for Kevin to be like, "All right, Kendrick, go," and I'm just gonna start uploading them up consistently. So a Pokemon is gonna appear on this channel whether you want it to or not.
I had the feeling. I'm fine with that. I don't hate Pokemon. Like, it was part of my childhood to some extent. But yeah, it's gonna be a new twist to the whole idea of gameplays.
So it's just gonna be me by myself for a little bit. You're gonna get some because everybody got a lot of Kevin content. We were supposed to have some Tim content and some James content, but that didn't work out. Favorite James month just kind of died.
You even got one of Summer.
Yeah,
That
you
was
got
pretty
two.
good.
You got two of Summer, but she didn't finish. So, but that's okay. That's okay. She did her best.
Yeah, she did. And what else? You were also there for the introduction of newscasts as well.
Yeah.
That was really fun. They were all really fun to make.
Like
yeah, go ahead.
the editing part, I couldn't complain. I loved it. When it was the newscast that I was editing, I loved it. I loved all the humor that I could have added in the editing and all that stuff.
It is fun.
The first newscast will forever be my favorite. Was he spoken to? No, it just throws it away. We're like, I'm sorry, sir, we can't take you to the hospital.
That one went perfectly.
And the funny part is, all the newscasts, we got an idea, and everything was just unscripted. We were like, all right, this is the idea, go with it. And we did our best. Like, some things came up on the spot right then and there. We had no prior knowledge. Like, fourth newscast, was it? No. Second. I'm sorry. The second newscast, the O'Fallon Park. That one was fun. My favorite part was when me and Kevin decided, like, the things you could do at the park is have sex on the bench, and my date should be here at any minute now. Kevin? Shit. Oh, shit, we ran away.
It was funny because there was like a group of kids in the background and we did like one or two takes and then we had to bolt out of there. But it was fun.
Dude, that's so much fun. I love going back and watching the newscasts because they're short, sweet, and just the humor that we put into it is, of its own kind. You can't find some humor out there.
Yeah. So, on that note, you enjoy humor, you enjoy the technical side of editing and whatnot. Video games are a passion, obviously. What have been your aspirations in life?
Just in life in general?
Yeah, as long as you can remember, have they changed? Why have they changed? Just
Yeah,
whatever you feel is
I can
necessary to talk
I can
about.
share that. Like, for the longest time as a child, I wanted to own my own business, as it was going to be, the original name of it was Kenco, Ken Company, and it had a nice ring to it because it was just Kenco and it was real short and sweet. But after a year or after a while, I realized there's actually a thing called Kenco and they make chairs. Um, but it was going to be, it was supposed to be this big old building that had a mall, a library, because I read a crap ton of books. Like, I've stopped reading books sophomore year when I kind of met these guys. Like, my extreme book reading had went down significantly. It was going to be a church, it was going to be a mall, church, food court, school, all these things in just one giant building, and it was all going to be run by me, and it was going to be this super cool place. And before even that, though, I wanted to be a scientist because, Dexter's Laboratory and scientist, and I thought I was going to make these cool chemicals and see things explode and stuff, and being an inventor.
That was a
Cause
lie. You
I
go into
yeah,
chemistry and you realize it's all a lie.
it's all a lie. Things explode, but not the way you think they do.
You see something bubbling up and you're just like, oh, how anticlimactic.
But I wanted to do things with my hands, and I just thought
I
how
bet you
bad
did.
but I wanted to be an inventor and just create stuff, and I had to like, my imagination was off the chain, off straight off the block, uh, because I didn't have a whole lot of friends. That's why I read a lot, and that's what helped me begin drawing and starting to build stuff. Like, when I moved to Detroit first time, or not first time, but after a while, we moved into this one house, and there was a junkyard next door, and I just took pieces from the junkyard and I just started building things, and it actually worked. I invented a lot of stuff that worked, and science was such a big passion for me. Um, but then when I went to Illinois, moved here, I always liked drawing, and I have drawn because I wanted to create books. I wanted to like create entertainment was something I wanted to do, and I started making books and children's books, and these stories were going to be real great. And Pokemon was an inspiration for me. Digimon was an inspiration for me. Just all these things that I watched, and I enjoyed them. When I was in class, whenever an art related subject had to done or some project, I was on that like nobody's business. I may have hated homework, I may have hated school, but boy, when that art project came on, I bet you I had 110, I put like 150% into making it, you know but then I started drawing, and drawing was a coping method for a while, and that's why I kind of really helped develop the skill, to start drawing and do things, to create stuff, so people can have a method to cope. It was mostly to help others. That's why the main reason I draw was to entertain and make great stories, so people can have something to relate to cope with, to enjoy. And after a while, I just wanted to become an animator, and I was like, yeah, I can do that. I love drawing, I love watching anime, I love watching good cartoons, and it's just it just would be right up my alley. And
not to give too much of what's gonna go on in the future, but you might get to do that soon.
yeah,
Wink, wink, audience.
wink,
Wink, wink.
wink, wink, nudge, nudge, stuff in the future. But
But let's
yeah.
take a step back.
Mhm.
You talk about your childhood. I can remember you talking about Detroit, and it just kind of resonated with me a little bit because I had lived in I don't want to say a similar place, but a place with a lot of the same problems. I lived in Tegucigalpa, Honduras, a place with, I think at the time, had the highest homicide rating in the world. And so, I'm curious as to how did Detroit shape the guy that you turned out to be?
Well, for one, I learned how to fight.
Obviously.
But Detroit shaped me in weird ways that I never would have expected to be. Like, now I'm this genuinely nice person, and I have been genuinely nice, but Detroit had made me this something I never wanted to be, never wanted to see myself as, and it just now I'm so much better about like thinking about my past and be like, oh yeah, that created me. But Detroit had created some really, really dark and unnerving habits inside me, and meeting you guys actually completely changed that inside me. And of course, reading a good book that helped too.
The Lord.
The Lord. But I long, long time ago, I used to be a klepto, and it was bad, 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 bad. And I was always bullied, like to a point. It was so bad. Like I thought I had friends, but I didn't. I really only had like two friends I could really trust. Like one kid I remember, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm your friend," and I guess we were friends forever. And then he was like, "Nope, I don't like you. I was just joshing you. I was just toying at your emotions, to put it short and simple." And I cried right then and there because I actually trusted him. I thought he was my friend, and then he just insisted to bully me worse than half the people there. And so like the bullying was to an extent where I always had to fight myself off, and I would be late for school and stuff like that. And it was a struggle, and it didn't help that like there was all these bad things happening around me. But for the most part, I kept my chin up. I may have been, facading things that I shouldn't. Facading, is that a word? No, but I'm making it a word. But there was a lot of things I had to put up a facade for that I shouldn't have, and I was never genuinely happy about certain things in the situation I lived in. But I had my family, I had all these things that mattered to me, so I wasn't all that upset. Things could have been so much worse, and that's why I say things can always get better, things could be worse. Even though the situation doesn't call for it, and it might be at the worst possible time, but I always try to stay positive now because I don't want to think dark and all that stuff. Because I really, really, really hated people at the time. Like I did not like human beings. It was so terrible. But you know, when I moved to Illinois, because of Detroit, when I moved to Illinois, I thought things would change, but no, they were actually worse off. I couldn't. It was bad because I couldn't hang with black people because I was too white for them. I couldn't hang with white people because I was black, and there was no real in between. But I made more friends. I was more open, but I still was like feeling empty and void
It's a
about.
form of PTSD in a way.
Yeah, like and now that you brought that up, there was a situation where I did have actual PTSD because of like shootings and all that happened in my
I can
area,
imagine.
and it was bad. But like even one time, and during freshman year, I had a mental breakdown in school because we watched this thing called Rachel's Challenge, and they were talking about a school shooting, which reminded me of something, that just triggered me, and I just couldn't stop crying. I was trying to go to my class, and I broke down in the middle of the hallway, and it was just so bad for me, you know. But I got over it in high school. I kept getting better. I kept bettering myself. I slowly started to lose my arrogance and all these things that were real negative that stuck out real bad. And I gained more and more knowledge. Everything eventually became a learning process for me. And I didn't look at anything too negatively. And I was just like, yeah, this is how I'm going to live my life. I'm going to keep looking forward. No looking back. No worry about my past. I may have done cringeworthy things. I may have done all this stuff, but you know what? It's for the better. I'm making myself better. I'm going to do what I do best and live positively, you know, and don't complain because things could always be worse. People are in worse situations than I am. And now I do my best to help in the community. I do my best to help my family. I look out for my friends as best as I can. I always, prioritize things over myself to help others to make sure they live their life to the best or things are better for everyone else. Because I don't want anybody to experience what I had to go through. You know, I gotta stop saying. I don't want people to go through things that I've experienced. I want them to live their lives as best as they know how. That's why I'm trying to go around with a genuine smile on my face. I never want to give people a fake smile. I want to be honest with them and tell them, yo, this is how I feel. This is what's going on. And though it may be difficult at times, I want to do my best at everything and give it 110% now. So.
And while you were living in Detroit, this is just a question
Mm-hmm.
that just recently arose. Was religion as big as it was back then as it was now?
It was. I was at a period where religion didn't matter at one point. That was mostly during high school, but religion was a superiorly big thing. Like I knew I was doing some very sinful things at the time. A being a Klefki. That's a Pokemon. Klepto.
Jesus Christ, Ken.
Oh my! I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. But me being a klepto at the time and me always fighting and being so, I had actually I had anger issues too. Like I was an angry potato back then. I was throwing chairs and stuff like that when I felt offended. I was gullible and easily offended. Way back then because I was always so picked on and I always thought everybody was attacking me. But now you see me now as this mellowed out guy that can't be hurt by anything. But don't let that deceive you because if you cross the line, I will mess you up. But yeah, I religion was a very big thing. It helped me cope with a lot, but it really messed me up when I went to church and I found out that there was a church shooting, and at that point I felt no longer safe. Like I knew I was just supposed to trust in the word and the Bible and God would cover me and all that stuff. But like a church was a safe haven for me. I didn't have to worry about bullies. Everyone there was genuinely nice and I felt so safe. But when that happened, it just completely diminished. And I didn't know what else to turn to for a long while. Excuse me.
Well, I do believe we've gotten to the end of our list, our little walk down memory lane, and I must say this conversation has opened my eyes a little bit as to what makes you you. I mean, in the past I had some sort of idea, but this just kind of cements it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do believe this is the first time you've actually opened up about Detroit and things of that nature.
Really?
Yeah, because you've said, in the past you've told me, like, oh yeah, I had a kind of a messed up childhood, but I never got to hear it like that.
Yeah.
But I must thank you for it. Like, it's
No problem, of course.
It's inspiring, it makes me respect you all that more. So with that said, let's end off on this note. Think back to that kid way back when. If you could go back and tell your younger self any advice, what would it be?
First thing I'd do is punch him. I wouldn't even tell him advice yet.
Listen here.
Listen here, you little douchebag, little faggot. I'm about to tell you, but if I were to go back, real talk, fourth wall breaking, not really, but if I had to go back and tell my younger self, the different age, like, if I was to tell myself around 7, 8, I'd be like, look, Kendrick, things are gonna turn out excellent, I would tell, at that age, I would be like genuine, I wouldn't even do anything, I would be like, look, I'm gonna put my hand and just get on one knee, things are gonna get better, don't even worry about it, I don't worry about it, just keep smiling, forget everything that's gonna happen to you in the future, or not future, but don't let the bad things in the future bother you, Kendrick, and don't let what people say bother you, I think hearing it from myself would be the best thing. And trust me, when you see yourself now, you're gonna be perfect. All right, something like that. Something along those lines of like, don't give up. Do your best.
Something I think every kid needs to hear every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Ken, for joining me.
No problem.
On this first edition of Real Talk.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have wanted it to be. I wouldn't have wanted it to. I can't talk today. I wouldn't have wanted to share this first episode with anybody else. There, I said it.
Okay.
Took me a while to say that. But anyway, we will continue with this pattern of channel people. I think I'm going to try to get Tim later. If that can ever happen. But anyway, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in another video. Good night, everybody.
Night night.